But Cecilia, let's just come home, and 2019 is gradually winding down, and we're taking a retrospective look at what transpired in 2019. We're looking at the power of sports, what sports can do. Harman, Austin Okonakpan, put together a report looking at just that. I mean, the influence, the power, the things that sports can help. And they put together a report. And I think it's only fitting that we get to see that report and, of course, talk about it, you know, and the things that sports can achieve. So let's just enjoy that report. That was a fine report put together by our man, Austin Okonakpan. They'll come back for more on Sports This Morning.
Just look at their faces, share in their joy. They are confined to wheelchairs, but sports has given them reasons to chant hallelujah. These basketball players are telling us an inspiring story on how to stay strong when life gets tough. All of them have felt the power of sports. One of them is Stacey Obadave. She told me an emotional story of what led to her condition and how playing basketball has restored her joy.
I had my accident 5 years ago. I was knocked down by a car on my way to a friend's wedding. So I got rushed to the hospital and I had no other choice than for them to amputate the leg. So it was either my life or amputation. So although it's been a rough part, it's been so difficult, but coming to stadium and meeting people with disability has really boosted my morale. And I was like, if they can be doing this, why should I sit down at home?
From basketball to table tennis, sports has been changing lives. Meet Ahmed Khalil Shode. Through para table tennis, he has become a model for success.
Sport has actually given me opportunity to meet a lot of people, traveling out, a lot of different cultures. I've learned from different cultures, so many different things. So basically, sport has given me almost everything I have now. So I think sports is my life. Let me just put it that way.
Khalil Shode is assistant head of ICT at the Lagos State Ministry of Science and Technology. He featured at the Rio 2016 Paralympics and has qualified for the 2020 edition in Tokyo, Japan. Inspiring stories confirming the power of sports to transform lives. With the condition of these para-athletes and the challenges they face daily, it would have been so easy to give up on life. But sports have been a good source of motivation. From the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos, Austin Okonakpan, Channels Television News.
All right, that's a report coming from us in there. The power of sport, that's what, you know, sports has been able to do to most of these people. You know, where there's actually, what do you say, ability and disability usually. So these athletes have been able to make something out of their life, despite the fact that they don't really have so much going on for them. But then basketball and table tennis just have a way, you know, of putting them back on the mark. And the sport they love so much, and nothing would deter them from actually continue to play in that sport. We have a guest in the studio, Favour Itua. It's going to be the second time he's coming in here. He works with Passion FM in Uyo. Favour, good morning. It's good to have you.
Yeah, good morning, Cecilia. Good morning.
Yeah, compliments of the season.
Yeah.
Same to you.
You just watched that you know, beautiful report put together by our man Austin Okonakpan, and talking about the power of sports. And you hear some of the guys responding and saying, sports has done this for me, sports has done probably things they probably would never have been able to achieve in their lives. Sports have done that. In your own view, and put in your own words, the power of sports, how far do you think you can go and help changing lives, changing stories, turning people's lives around?
I think it can go a lot way. You know, over times, people think begging is the order of the day. I remember the president of the powerlifters of Nigeria once said that she went to the street of Lagos, she looked at persons who have been begging and said, you can make money out of this. Instead of begging in the streets of Lagos, you can come use your talent, you know, to make a name for yourself. Now, look at this. Look at the persons that are doing para table tennis. Now, they are disabled, but they've been able to show that they can live out of this. Now, over the years, we've seen lots of issues in Nigeria, not being employed, but sport has given life to this person. So I think that if persons can look at this, we've seen so many beggars, even in the streets of Nigeria, if they can take a cue of this and say, hey, I want to make this out of myself and make something out of myself. In Akwa Ibom State, for instance, we have para-powerlifters in that particular region. You know, they've won so many medals. Sport has taken them outside of the country to several countries, you know, in the world. And before now, even an able-bodied person have never traveled to that particular countries, but then they've been able to do that through the help of sport. So the power of sport has so many things, so many benefits it can give, you know, to Nigerians and to, you know, the disabled ones. Don't forget that even in the Olympics, they be the one making us smile.
Yeah.
The Paralympics, we get to see the win medals. The able-bodied men would have to, you know, try to punch calculators and wait until they win medals for us. The last Olympics, it was a football team that's talking about the Rio 2016 Olympics. We didn't get from other sports. Now look at the Paralympics we had in, that was in Brazil. We had so many of them who won medals. But then, after this, what are the steps, what are the measures put in place to ensure that these persons go back home smiling? They tend to complain every time that they are not being treated well. But I think it's high time we need to understand. Because so many persons also look at it that when I win medal for Nigeria, what is the next thing? What is being done to me after winning medals for Nigeria? So that's one thing we need to look at. Some persons are not happy that after March, what is the result and the end product? Is it just to take my gold, go back to the house and then keep it? So I think if they put all these things together, we should also see how we can create awareness and encourage people, some persons that you're begging, you can make money from this. Better money than going out.
You mentioned Akwa Ibom State, where you're from and all that you have so many powerlifters. What's the government or Akwa Ibom community doing for these athletes? Is there something special for them, or they're just on their own?
You know, I think it's a general thing in Nigeria.
Okay, right.
It's a general thing in Nigeria where athletes tend to complain of not being, you know, given benefits. Look at the National Sport Festival in Abuja that went down. The state had an improved performance compared to their previous time. But, I mean, they're still waiting to be received by the government and a lot of things. But we just hope that it gets better. Edo State is around the corner. And you ask yourself the question, what are states doing to ensure that they do well? Imo State are just they're organizing a sports festival in their state. What are other states doing? I know Delta State are trying to go into campaign, but Akwa Ibom State also need to start doing something, because if you don't do something, you can't do something the same way and expect different results. But it's a general problem.
They don't do anything. We know what they do. You coach athletes and they come to your state. Okay. So stay with para sport this morning. I'll talk about the wheelchair basketball. The president has been talking about the National League, what they're trying to do to ensure that this league keeps running.
Before I came in, Nigeria had a debt with both the African and international wheelchair basketball federations. And it's just in the coming of this minister that we're able to defray the debt. I've defrayed that debt, so it means we can compete in any tournament. You know, but because the time is too short, the minister does not want to start carrying teams that are not very, that are medal hopefuls. And for Nigeria that have not participated in any tournament for 2 years, I know we cannot boast of our stature now. So with the kind of encouragement the minister has given to us by defraying our debt, it means that we are sure that better things will come for wheelchair basketball. A regular league is my desire. But a regular league, first of all, has to have well-sustained clubs. It is when you have well-sustained clubs that you now be able to put them on a regular league. So what we have nowadays is this ad hoc championship. So that, I mean, it's not too expensive to gather people for about 5 days and play a tournament. But to now put a regular league, which is my desire, which will involve a lot of traveling and everything for the teams.
Yeah, coming from him, lots of traveling. But I love the fact that, the sports minister actually came to their aid and all that. But I'm also happy that the same sports minister talked about sports policy. Maybe when we have that in place, you just have a kind of an institution that's being built where you don't have different sports. Every time come to our aid, okay, he comes to the aid of that one. And another one come from somewhere else. You're like, okay, what about other sports? And people keep asking questions and all that. But when that sports policy is in place, definitely we'll have something better for sports. Yeah,
we'll have something better. I must commend the sports minister for what he has been able to do. Since he came on board, he has been, out here and there. The first of the assignment was the National Youth Games in Ilorin, and he came to see the athletes at night, motivated the athletes and told them how they can be better. Adopted some athletes who were very, very outstanding at that particular point to see how the federal ministry can cater for them and get the best out of them. Aside that, look at each of the federations. He has visited one of the federations or the other to see how they can motivate themselves. I know, like you just said, enough of we looking for sponsors sponsors every time. I think it's high time that private individuals, the recent Adopt an Athlete campaign that was launched in Lagos was a very, very good platform for them to, see how they can invest in sports. So if each of the federations should look at how they can get patrons, persons who are very, very passionate about that particular sport, come in and say you can invest your money in the sport, because that is the only way. Every government cannot do everything for you. So if you have a tournament, and most of them also need to roll out their calendars, because that's some issue. We're going into 2020. What are the calendars for a particular sport? Let's say wrestling. What is the calendar for wrestling in 2020? So you know that this is the plan you have in 2020 for wrestling. So it's easy for you to say, this is what we can afford. This is how you can do your funding. But most of them maybe...
And any individual or corporate organization that wants to key in already knows, okay, this is happening in June, this is happening in November, I'm interested in this one.
And I think
you
it's
don't go
time
to them just 2 weeks.
2 weeks before. I think it's high time some persons start seeing that there's more to other sports than football. Now, look at other sports. They can guarantee you more than one medal. Let's take for wrestling. We have the Greco-Roman and the freestyle. Yeah. They can give you medals. Let's go to boxing. We have different weight category. Swimming. Now, if you look at the particular athlete that you fund the particular athlete, go to an Olympics, and you know that this athlete can give you more than one medal than football. Football is when you are knocked out from the group stages that's the end of football. So it's high time we start diversifying, and federations need to step up. And I think it's very, very good. Now, we've seen wrestling, we've seen badminton, we've seen... other federations trying to do a lot about themselves for 2020, because it's an Olympic year. And one of the ways is the National Sport Festival, where athletes will be trained, and so many qualifying series will be held. And if you don't go for the qualifying series, there's no way you can represent Nigeria for the Olympics. So it's a very, very key factor. And I think the ministry is doing its own way. But then the federation presidents need to also go out, think out of the box, and get something working for them. But so far, so good. I think the minister has put all the federations on their toes, and they want to do enough to ensure that they get the best out of the federations going forward.
All right, that would be good, so that we don't have all the time SOS messages, save our soul, we're in trouble. Hopefully, that will be a thing of the past, especially with the sports policy that's being worked upon. We need to go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, we'll talk about the CAF Confederation Cup, talk about the Nigeria Professional League, and of course, travel abroad and talk about the English Premier League. We'll go on that break. We're back for more Sports This Morning.